Have you ever wondered what protections exist for people forced to flee their homes due to war, violence, or persecution? It's a question that leads us to a crucial area of international law known as refugee law. Today, we're going to dive deep into what this body of law is, where it comes from, and why it's so important in our modern world. So grab a seat and let's get started. At its heart, refugee law is a set of rules, both international and national, designed to protect some of the most vulnerable people on our planet. It defines who qualifies as a refugee and sets out the standards for their treatment. Think of it as a legal safety net for those who have nowhere else to turn. The entire system is built upon a landmark document, the 1951 Refugee Convention. This was a direct response to the massive displacement of people in Europe after World War II. It was a moment when the world came together and said, we need a formal system to protect people fleeing persecution. Now, the original 1951 convention had some limitations. It mainly focused on events happening in Europe before 1951. But as the world changed, it became clear that this scope was too narrow. So in 1967, a new document called the 1967 Protocol was added. This was a game changer. The protocol essentially removed the sell-by date and the geographical limits of the original convention. It made the protections universal, applying to refugees anywhere in the world at any time. Together, the 1951 Convention and its 1967 Protocol are the bedrock of modern refugee protection. Over 145 countries have signed one or both of these documents, pledging to uphold their principles. So, who exactly is a refugee according to these laws? This is a really important question, and the definition is very specific. The Convention defines a refugee as someone who has a well-founded fear of being persecuted. This isn't just a vague feeling of being unsafe. It has to be a genuine, provable fear. And the persecution has to be for specific reasons: their race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or their political opinion. Furthermore, this person must be outside their home country and unable, or unwilling due to that fear, to seek protection from their own government. This definition is the key that unlocks international protection. It's the legal test that separates a refugee from other people who might be crossing borders. Let's break that down a bit. A well-founded fear means there is both a subjective element, the person truly feels afraid, and an objective element, there is evidence to support that fear, like the human rights situation in their country. The reasons for persecution, race, religion, and so on are also critical. It's not enough to flee generalized violence or a natural disaster. The threat must be targeted at you because of who you are or what you believe. This specific definition helps countries focus their resources on those who are in the most direct danger of persecution. Now we come to what is arguably the single most important principle in all of refugee law: non-refoulement. It's a French term that essentially means no pushback. This principle forbids a country from returning a refugee to a place where their life or freedom would be threatened. It's the ultimate safety guarantee. Imagine someone has escaped a brutal regime, made a perilous journey, and finally reached a country where they hope to find safety. The principle of non-refoulement says that country cannot just turn them around and send them back into the jaws of danger. This protection isn't just limited to their home country either. It applies to any country where they might face persecution. It's a fundamental pillar of international law, a line that cannot be crossed. Of course, protection isn't just about not being sent back. Once a refugee is recognized in a host country, the convention outlines a set of rights they are entitled to. These rights are about allowing them to live in safety and dignity while they are displaced. This includes basic human rights like the right to housing and education for their children. It also includes the right to work, which is crucial for self-sufficiency and rebuilding a life. Refugees should also have access to courts and legal documents. The idea is to integrate them into society, not to leave them in a state of permanent limbo. However, these rights come with responsibilities. Refugees are expected to respect the laws of their host country, just like any other resident. Protection is a two-way street. It's also really important to understand the difference between a refugee and a migrant. These terms are often used interchangeably in the media, but in the eyes of the law, they are very different. As we discuss, refugees are people fleeing direct threats of persecution and who cannot return home safely. Their movement is involuntary. It's a matter of life and death. Migrants, on the other hand, choose to move for other reasons. They might be seeking better economic opportunities, joining family members, or pursuing education. The key difference is that a migrant can, in theory, safely return to their home country at any time. Their government is still there to protect them. This distinction is vital because it determines the legal obligations that countries have towards them. While all people, including migrants, have human rights, refugees are entitled to a special set of protections under international law because of their unique vulnerability. Finally, it's worth noting that refugee law doesn't operate in a vacuum. It's part of a much larger web of international law. It works hand in hand with international human rights law, which protects the fundamental rights of all people, and international humanitarian law, which governs the conduct of armed conflict. For example, a person fleeing a war zone might be protected by humanitarian law, and once they cross a border seeking safety, they might also become a refugee, protected by refugee law. These legal frameworks complement each other, creating a more comprehensive system of protection for individuals in crisis. They are all expressions of our shared humanity and our collective responsibility to look out for one another. So, to recap, refugee law is a complex but vital system. It's built on the 1951 Convention and its 1967 Protocol. It provides a specific definition for who is a refugee, establishes the life-saving principle of non-refoulement, and outlines the rights and duties of both refugees and the countries that host them. It is distinct from migration law and works together with other international laws to create a global safety net. Understanding these principles is more important than ever in a world where millions are displaced from their homes. It's a testament to our capacity for compassion and our commitment to upholding human dignity. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into refugee law. I hope you found it informative. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content like this. And as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next one.